SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Medical Plaza in Corinth is a locally owned community pharmacy dedicated to providing personalized service at an affordable price. Being a modern pharmacy with old school values, our Plaza Packs program creates an easier and safer way to take multiple medications. MedPlazaRx.com for details.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive.
Good morning to you on a Friday. Hope it's a great morning for you already. A little bit cooler outside. Don't know how it is with you, Lance. Lance Tolbert, of course, in the Magic Box as always, back at the home studio in Jackson. And when I walked out the door this morning, there was a noticeable drop in the temperature outside from yesterday.
Yeah, it's fair weather, as it says on the NOAA, and I don't mean like it's just decent weather. I think it's fair weather, like for the actual state fair. This is perfect weather. 57 degrees to start your morning, be about 80 topping out. And as we get through the week, it's going to warm up again probably to the upper 80s on Columbus Day. But enjoy it while you can. You know, the mornings have been great. The nights have been nice and had a little bit of wind out there to keep things cool. But, it's a beautiful morning. I don't know what it's like where you are, but around 60 here was the morning that I woke up to and walked out to, about 60 degrees, probably 59. It says in the Delta it's about 57. So in that ballpark. What did you wake up to? Just a wonderful day ahead of you?
Almost exactly the same thing. I woke up to 59 degrees. So.
Yeah, I think it's copy and paste weather this morning.
Yeah, but the key is the drop in humidity. We've only got 78% humidity here.
I'll take that anytime.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's amazing that it's already Friday again. I was thinking about that last night. I'm like, it's already Friday. Or was it this morning when I was showered? I was like, wow, we're at Friday again. Goodness gracious. It's always fun, though.
It seems like every week, another week goes by.
Wow. And Trump did not get he didn't get the Peace Prize.
No. The Nobel Peace Prize went to Maria Machado.
That's right.
A member of Venezuela's opposition party.
Keeping democracy going down there.
Well, if there's one thing that you can say about Venezuela, it is most definitely a bastion of peace, so it makes perfect sense.
Sure.
And I will say this, and everybody's trying to, inflate this to be a big deal because President Trump didn't get it. They didn't pick this morning.
Yeah, I don't think it happened yesterday afternoon, right?
No. And I'm sorry, but the peace deal is just hours old from going into effect in Israel. So there is some justification to, not this time around. I will say this, though. We get to this time next year, and the peace deal in the Middle East has held up. All the other peace deals he's worked out have held up, and they don't pick him. Then we got a problem. For this one, they picked this weeks, if not months ago. They already knew who, because they have to notify them. There's all sorts of stuff they have to go through. It doesn't just happen and they immediately announce it. So it was a foregone conclusion already. It's just no one knew about it. Next year, though, there's going to be very little justification. Again, assuming the peace deal holds.
Yeah, as long as the ship hasn't sunk and the wheels haven't popped off the train by then. I would imagine he'd be the front runner from start to finish of the year. It'd take a lot to me.
I don't see how you would justify anyone else next year if that holds together.
Got to keep everything holding together. And I believe his day will come, though. But you're right. And I don't know much about Miss Machado other than that she is the bastion of democracy in a place that has had its fair share of troubles, and I'm sure she's very deserving of that honor. I don't mean to dismiss that. that's a huge ordeal to go through just to get your name on the ballot, so to speak. So I'm very happy to see, though, that we have gotten at least one of the major wars resolved, at least to point where the killing is stopped, at least for now, and President Trump and his team, Witkoff and Jared Kushner, those guys have been working 24/7. Got to give them a lot of credit, man. I mean, behind the scenes, a lot got done.
I hope we get to hear the full story. I don't know if you saw the cabinet meeting where Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, who is doing an exceptional job in all 6 of his positions, but he was talking and he said he didn't know if it ever would be told. He hoped one day the story would be told of the day during the UN General Assembly a week or 2 ago when Trump basically pulled everybody into a room and said, okay, here's what we're going to work this out right now. Mm-hmm. And worked it out. Apparently there was a lot of discussion that went into that and a lot of things that had to be done to get us to this point on this deal. Just going by Marco Rubio's statement that one day I hope the entire story can be told of what happened on that day, which kind of leads you to believe this was not you want to do it? Oh, okay, good.
Right.
No, it was a very complicated process they went through here. And I can see that because, I'm sorry, if you've got 20 people sitting in a room, all of them are also the leaders of their country, and everybody wants something different, that's one heck of a tap dance to do to get everybody swaying to the same tune. But that's what President Trump did.
Yeah, exactly. And, a conflict that is going to still be there, right? I mean, it's not going to go away. It's the Middle East. So having these moments where there is peace and there's an opportunity to maybe clean up some of the rhetoric and some of the hatred and maybe put a space in between these folks that have been at each other's throats for, 2-3 years now and for many lifetimes. You need peace in the Middle East at times, and it's going to always seem to embroil again and again, but hopefully to lesser extent. If you take away, take away the weapons of Hamas, those that have absolutely made Israel's borders very porous and worrisome. Going back years and watching documentaries, and just as neither side has been willing to really deal with the other very well. But on one end, I will say the Israelis have always tried to get to a point where they've said, look, our number one problem here is we need security guarantees. We need a security contract. We have a right to be here. International law says we do. And yet we need a contract here stating that this is not going to continue happening. But yet the Palestinians never would want to deal with it that way, and it just continued to get out of hand at times and spill over. And then this last one was, a scene from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, the way this one started. Goodness gracious. So, the creativity in this conflict, has reached epic proportions the way I see it. It's got to cool down.
Well, I think everyone in the Middle East has finally remembered a truism that the left here in America still, I don't think, is even aware exists. And it's this. You look at boxing, you look at UFC fighting, you look at football, you look at basketball, you look at anything. In the middle of the battle, in the middle of the fight, every so often, you gotta take a break.
This was gonna this was about to get out of hand, I think, personally. Not that it wasn't already.
Yeah.
But the longer this one went on over there, the worse it was going to get. And the humanitarian crisis, whether you believe in everything you see or not. People suffering, millions of people displaced. These are never good things. We're fortunate in this country that we have not seen that here, that we have not experienced that. But for both sides of that conflict,
I don't know.
Absolutely terrible.
Couple of blocks in downtown Portland that might disagree with your assessment that we've never seen that before.
Well, you're right. And maybe on the scale in which war is over there, but we're fortunate that it's not something that we deal with every day, and it's halfway across the globe. But it doesn't make it less real, right? People suffering, both sides, and congratulations to Trump and his team, because, quite frankly, I didn't think it was going to get done.
No, it's an insane level of accomplishment. It really is. And that's why I'm saying if it holds together next year, if they name some, I don't know, capuchin monkey that did something good for the banana crops instead of Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, we might need to start thinking about stopping paying attention to the Nobel Committee.
Yeah, that's a good point.
At that point,
yeah, I'll agree with you. Well, before we go to break, I got got some weather quickly that we can hit for the listeners out there. The Delta. Going to be 82 degrees, mostly clear tonight, 55, a light wind, and then tomorrow about 84, so about perfect there. And we get up there to South Haven, Mississippi, sunny today, high near 78 degrees, mostly clear today, 58 tonight, and 79 tomorrow. Looks like it's going to be a clear weekend. You also have Gulfport, high near 83, cruising the coast down there, got that nice 15-mile-an-hour wind, 64 tonight, 85 tomorrow, and 64 on Saturday night. And then finally, West Point, Mississippi, mostly sunny, high near 79 today. Again, about 54 degrees tonight, 81 tomorrow. And then Saturday night, another crystal clear 53. Ought to be perfect weather this weekend.
Most definitely. Of course, the Tennessee National Guard now mobilized in Memphis. Good morning to all of you up there serving, and I'd like to leave you with one piece of advice headed into the break. Remember, don't lead with your right. Lead with your left and throw them off, and then come in with the right.
There you go.
Just trying to help. Just trying to be helpful. We will continue on this Friday. That sets the tone right there. This Friday morning of
in SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
now that's entertainment.
Very ominous.
I was about to say, I was waiting for the beat to drop. I didn't remember the intro being that long on that.
Yeah, it makes you wait a little bit, you know.
That was like 5 minutes long, it felt like.
It felt like it, didn't it? Every time I play that, like as an end, it feels like that. I'm like, all right, come on, crank it up.
You can do it.
You
Come
can
on,
do
big boy,
it.
you can do it. Welcome back to Mornings Without Richard Cross on Fridays, presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, we're here to help you every single step of the way, dedicated to the customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. We talked about the Nobel Prize. The other big news, I think, that's going on right now is Letitia James getting indicted.
Ooh, yeah.
Has anyone ever deserved something more than her in this?
Maybe Comey, you know.
Maybe. I
I
don't
don't know.
No, the poetic justice here is just off the charts, because if you recall, part of her prosecution, one of the prosecutions that she carried out against, at that point, former President Trump and candidate Trump, was that he had overstated the value of his homes to get better deals.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, she has been indicted because she bought a second home, claimed it as a second residence to get a tax break, but instead rented it to a 3-member family. That's the accusation.
Oh, yeah.
Back when she's been indicted for bank fraud and false financial statements. Back when her prosecution was going on and everybody was raising heck, somebody dug this up. On the official New York State AG X account, Letitia James tweeted the following. You ready? When powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage, and if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people.
Oh, well, well said.
Very well said. I think
well said.
In her case, where she's been indicted for mortgage and bank fraud, Attorney General Letitia James probably needs to listen to the wise words of Attorney General Letitia James.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be brought into the trial itself, or whatever they're going to end up doing here, and play that and look and just see the look on her face. I would love to be a fly on the wall when that comes in.
I'll tell you right now, the look on her face will be haughty and full of self-importance. Oh, sure. I don't know if you saw the video she released yesterday. She had a statement and she released a video of herself. And 3 or 4 times in this 2-minute video, she ends a sentence with a whispered note of haughtiness. I am fighting so hard for the rights of all Americans. And it's like, oh, come on, dear. You did something crooked, you got caught. That's what the grand jury decided. That's what they thought. Now you get to go to trial. Hopefully it'll be long and cost a ton of money and be highly embarrassing to her because that was her goal against President Trump.
It seems to be, yeah.
So it'll be fantastic if she, her petard is going to get a workout from all the hoisting. Just put it like that. And it couldn't happen to a nice person. So it's going to be fun to watch this play out.
There are a lot of them, yeah. I mean, as far as the legal types of, court TV dramas that could be made in the future, there should be plenty of opportunities here with Letitia and the Comey deal their key witness there on the government side is not really cooperative and hasn't necessarily given them the big enchilada, so to speak, as far as information. And I think it's going to be very difficult to prove that Comey at this point knowingly, lied to Congress, because that's isn't that the litmus test that you must pass in order for there to be charges that could stick. So in this case, I'm not really sure how deep it's going to go from what I've read, but it doesn't look good at this point on the prosecutorial side. So, but we'll see. You never know. Somebody might have a rabbit in their hat, but I don't think anybody can deny that Comey was a kind of sleazy guy. Whether he knowingly did something or not.
Hold on. I got to pull the emergency stop here about Comey possibly being a sleazy guy. No, there's no possibly and kinda. He was a sleazy guy.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to be polite at 6-something in the morning, but we haven't even got to birthdays
yet.
How do
you have the energy to do that?
Oh man. Well, it is exhausting to try to continue being moderate and not inflammatory. I guess just trying to see both sides of it. It gets exhausting at times. It does. I try to play both sides. I try to research both sides, but I don't have a lot of love for Comey or the crew that they're going after right now. However, I do want it to be above board, the law to be followed, and again, it be done the right way, because one day the Republicans are not going to be in power, and you hope that this pendulum of crazy politicalness of things will swing back to the middle there.
That is the problem.
Stick to the
pendulum
law.
Has already been against the Republicans.
Oh, yeah.
For the last 4 years before January, it has been nonstop prosecution and hounding and jail sentences and huge settlement amounts and everything else.
So I just hope they got the ducks in a row and do it right, I guess.
Right. You got to do it right. You're exactly right. It's got to be right, got to be by the book, got to be by the law. But let me ask you a question, unrelated to politics seemingly, but boy, does it apply here. You're in elementary school, let's say.
I would go back and do it
grade.
again. I'd Billy Madison it.
Oh, yeah, why not? It'd be perfect. We'd get slightly better scores on all the tests. I don't know about you, I would.
Get to see the rabbit, too, maybe,
But You're like in 4th, 5th grade, and every day when you realize it's getting close to time to go on the playground, you start getting this knot in the pit of your stomach because you got a bully.
Yeah.
And he always comes up, and he's always going to shove you around and try to hit you and try to take your lunch money and all that stuff. What is the best way to deal with a bully?
Bust his lip, hit him in the nose, and beat him to the punch.
For 4 years, the Democratic Party and all of their prosecutors, judges, and everybody else have been the bully.
Yeah.
How do you make it stop? You're seeing it play out right now while they cry and whine about, why are you doing what we just got through doing? That's not fair. A
lot of it concocted, though. I mean, again, I think we've seen that a lot of the legal charges were not above board. What I want the Republicans and the conservatives to do is to stay above board, stick to the law, make sure that it's the right things that you're going after and you have evidence so that when you get to the court and it's obvious, there's no reason for anybody to look at this and say, oh, this was political maneuvering and political warfare. No, you went after folks that broke the law, and they're going to pay the price for that. And I think that's what you were saying about the AG. You can't cheat on your mortgage and sit there and lecture everybody else about it. I mean, like, where's the penalty for you? I guess you want to penalize me, but what about you?
Here's the thing. This goes hand in hand with the Democrats currently howling that the Republicans are blocking a negotiation on the federal budget because they don't care about your health care. Well, it's the same mindset at work here, because this was not one attorney general somewhere deciding to file charges. They presented this case to a grand jury in Virginia, where the home was that's in question in all of this. When presenting that case, I'm pretty sure they presented her mortgage documents that she filled out and signed, and her tax information where she claimed it as a second residence.
Didn't somebody go interview the family that was living?
Yes, they actually went and talked to them. They've got the rental agreement with the family. So they went in. It was not hearsay. It was not, here's what we think happened. Here, read this. Here, read this. Here, read this. How do you vote? And the grand jury said, oh, she did it.
Yeah.
That's not political. That's catching a crook.
There you go. That's what I want to see right there. Catch some crooks.
Yeah, but they're going to spin it like nobody's business, because in the world
that's the only
we live
defense
in,
you have.
Well, Democrats have never done anything wrong in their life. Just ask them. They'll be glad to tell you. We continue on this Friday morning here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the CBA.
It's time to switch on.
Mornings with Richard Cross. On Super Talk, Mississippi.
Yeah!
Won't you come see about me? I'll be alone, dancing, you know it, baby. Tell me your troubles and doubts, giving me everything inside and out, and love strange, so real in the dark. Think of the tender things that we were working on. Slow change may.
Oh, you're doing good work now over there with the bumpers. I like that. Welcome back. Mornings with Richard Cross, without Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. I want to go back to something I mentioned just a little while ago, very quickly here, if I can, about having to take a break. We don't do that anymore. You cannot fight in any situation, in any arena, 24/7, 365 continuously. You have to occasionally take a knee. They give you timeouts in football for a reason. You have a big halftime break for a reason. You can't just go straight through. And I think we need to rediscover how to do that.
Yeah.
You can't be keyed up and on high alert all the time.
No, because the crash is epic. once you come down,
And you wind up in a worse place than if you had just taken a break every so often.
There you go.
And said, no, I'm done for the weekend. I'm out.
Well, and that's why you have a work schedule, right? I mean, you can't work all the time. I mean, if you apply that to your normal life, you can't eat pizza for every meal. I mean, you're going to get burned out on everything, and it just has a tendency to put people on edge. And I think that's part of some of the intent, the undercurrent of intent, that you don't see, is to keep everybody kind of, upset like a wasp in the middle of summer. Everybody's just upset, looking for something to be ticked off about. And I think you make a great point. You got to take a breather, and that's in your personal life all the way to all the political maneuvering and all the stuff we see every day. It's take a breather, and we'll all be better for it in the long run.
That applies in the other direction too. Is if all you do is lay around and be lazy and have fun 24/7, well, you got to take a break from that and get to work occasionally too.
I say like everything in moderation, right?
There is nothing that you can do 24/7, 365, and you've heard me talk about it before. When you're angry, when you're upset, when you're scared, you're much easier to control.
Yeah, hangry too, But
hangry, yes.
But you really are easy.
Great. Now I want a sausage biscuit. It's State Fair week, and I don't have a biscuit.
Well, hey, I got a few interesting things for us this morning. Today is the actual founding of the U.S. Naval Academy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, to improve the then unsatisfactory methods of instructing the midshipman. George Bancroft is a historian, educator. He was also the Secretary of the Navy. He picked a good spot, too, because, man, that is one of the most beautiful settings on the planet, the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. But it was settled and turned into the Naval Academy on this day in 1845. Had some really good birthdays today. Also, Peter Coyote, people know him. He's been in over 51 films, narrator, and many different things. My favorite, though, Southern Comfort. He gets popped early in it in the P-Rogue, but he is the man. Bradley Whitford, West Wing fame, 66 years old. Mario Lopez, 52, Saved by the Bell, Access Hollywood. The beautiful Bailing, 59 years old today. Let's see, there are musicians in here. The late Thelonious Monk. He was the founder of modern jazz. And very, very talented. John Prine, he would have been 79 years old today. I'm a big fan of John Prine. David Lee Roth, 71 years old. He actually, back in 2004, became a paramedic. And second career there, an interesting one, too, I'm sure. And yeah. Can you imagine?
Right up to the back of the ambulance.
Jump! I would love to see.
You're awake.
Yeah. Tanya Tucker, 67 years old today. Race car driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 51. Los Angeles quarterback of the Chargers, Geno Smith, is 53. And let's not forget the big dog here, Brett Favre, 56 years old, broke every record there is, over 500 touchdowns, led the Packers to victory in Super Bowl. Over 70,000 yards and completed over 6,000 passes, and spent most of his career with Green Bay. Started out early with the Falcons, traded to Green Bay, had a great career, and then finished it up. It was the Jets, right? And Vikings? Was it?
Yeah,
Vikings?
Jets and the Vikings.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I might be wrong on that, but. You also have one last one I want to mention here. Ed Wood, the late director, most notably Plan 9 from Outer Space, considered one of the worst movies of all time, I think. But yet, you gotta love it. It's one I'll probably go dig.
His stuff was so bad it was good.
Yeah, he was the inventor of it. So bad it's good. So that was the significant stuff there as far as birthdays. I thought there was a couple other interesting things worth mentioning. Orson Welles and Citizen Kane. Obviously, he was influential. He died on this day at age 70. Wayne Gretzky made his NHL debut with the Edmonton Oilers on this day in 79. And Spiro Agnew resigned from office on this day in 73, pleading no contest to the charge of failing to report $29,500 of income while governor of Maryland. Of course, we have my favorite genre of films, the Bond films. In 63, the British spy film From Russia with Love premiered in London, the second film in the Bond franchise. But it is considered likely the best of them all, a wonderful movie. I can't count how many times I've seen it either. So.
Yeah. I would agree, probably one of the best. I have a soft spot for Moonraker.
Oh, I love them all, man.
Just because it was cheesy, but it was the good kind of cheesy.
Yeah, there are so
all
many,
of Roger Moore's were.
Yeah, the Timothy Dalton and Roger Moore ones. There was a little comedic stuff in there, but I like all of them. To me, my favorite though is mainly Enter Majesty's Secret Service, because you had Lazenby did just the one. The coolest guy ever is like, yeah, I'll do one of these things. That's all I need.
I'm out.
But yeah, and he's such a man's man in that movie too. It's very different, kind of rough-hewn feel, where you had the polished Connery wearing the terry cloth jumpers and the perfect rug sitting up there at all times. But with Lazenby, it was a little different, and it was a little more of a troubled person, and it wasn't so polished. So I think the first time you kind of saw some of the vulnerabilities of Bond. You also, on this day in 1956, the American classic Giant had its world premiere. The saga was especially notable for being the last movie of James Dean, who died in a car accident shortly after filming was completed. So those are kind of the interesting things that happened on this day. And last night, a very interesting thing happened, and Southern Miss put it on their opponent, Georgia Southern. That was a Thursday night game, a very tight football game, and really Southern, outside of the first possession where Georgia Southern took it down and scored, Southern Miss basically just owned it all night and beat them. I don't know what happened to them. There we go. Let's get back over 38-35. Southern Miss improves to 4-2, 2-0 in the conference. Georgia Southern 2-4, 0-2. But what was notable there, quarterback Braylon Braxton didn't have a huge game. A lot of points were scored, but it was one of those games where Southern just played good football, didn't turn the ball over, didn't do anything to get in their own way, and showed that that kind of football it wins games. And so now Southern improved 4-2, looking good, and nice Thursday night victory there. You also had a big win for the Giants last night. Jackson Dart went in his second start, and Cam Scatabo kind of took it to the Eagles last night. Giants improved to 2-4. Easing some of the Brian Daboll getting fired concerns, which is probably good for Jackson Dart, considering I think Daboll really likes him. So getting a couple of victories there has helped stabilize that situation, and it doesn't hurt when you beat a division foe and the guys that won the NFL last year in the Super Bowl. So
yeah,
Jackson looked really good. The Giants.
He had a couple of plays. He had that one pass where he scrambled out because it was almost a broken play.
Yeah,
the line collapsed. He scrambled out and came back around back to his right and did that little sidearm underarm pass.
Man, it was a beauty
for a touchdown. Man, that thing was incredible.
Well, he dropped one too. He threw an absolute floater right in the hands of the tight end who dropped it. And there was so many opportunities in that game to really blow it away, but. The Giants ended up winning 34-17. It was very handily win there for them. And you had a full slate, more or less, in junior college football last night. Community college football, Northwest wins over Southwest 33-13 to stay. I'm sure that helps them in the polls. They were the number 4 in the country, maybe. I think that's where they are. Itawamba wins 44-10. Mississippi Delta dropped one to Holmes 47-0. Jones 31-21 over Hines Community College. Mississippi Gulf Coast wins 27-3 over East Central Community College. And Co-Lin victorious 39-7 over Pearl River Community College. That gets us caught up there with our sports. There's other things like Major League Baseball we can touch on a little later, but that kind of gets us where we are. And Southern looking good, stayed off, and Ole Miss will be playing the Washington State Cougars coming in, 11:45 Breakfast Bowl. So there we go.
Gotta love it. Grab a biscuit. Yeah, I am hung up on biscuits.
Casserole, man.
It's not the last time you're hearing about biscuits from me today. We continue with biscuit money when we come back, because it's time to talk about the Mississippi Lottery here on Super Talk Mississippi and Mornings. Keep it here.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
People want to hear the truth, man. That's what we're going to do.
Super Talk Mississippi.
Yeah, baby. Give me that money. That's what the Mississippi Lottery wants to do, is give you a big old giant stack of Benjamins. But they can't do that if you don't buy a ticket. Just put that right out there. Lotto America, no jackpot winner this week. Estimated jackpot for tomorrow, $4.52 million. $2.11 million, the cash value. No jackpot winner for Powerball, $244 million. It's already back up to $244 million. It's growing quickly. Estimated cash value, if you hit that one, $114.2 million. Mega Millions, that's our big one right now. No jackpot winner again. Next drawing is tonight, $575 million, the jackpot there. The estimated cash value for that one, $264.6 million. Mississippi Match 5. Didn't have a jackpot winner last night, but we did have a recent winner. We're building it back up again, 56,000. And this goes back to what you're always saying, Lance. We have a lot of winners in Mississippi Match 5.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, I mean, at several of the gas stations I stop at, even the people that run it are like, man, the Match 5 always seems to pop. Yeah, to me, that's the one with the biggest money and the most turnover, that you see on a regular basis.
Well, everyone gets focused on the big jackpots, but when you see it, because the default setting for the Mississippi Match 5 is 50,000. When somebody wins it, it resets to that amount. So when you see it down close to 50,000, that means there has been yet another winner. And the more winners you see, the better your odds of being one of them if you play that game. So it's actually a good thing, because we say this all the time, 56,000, I'll take that.
I'm all day long on it, and I've seen it get way up there too. So, as it gets up in the hundreds of thousands, man, I mean, that thing's going to hit. You never know when, but it's the probabilities are high that it's not going to make it to 1 million. The turnover's good on it.
Yeah, usually from between 1 and 200,000 is about where it maxes out before somebody hits it. Just for that's totally, anecdotal and observational. That's not an official stat at all. Just for me watching
our analytics. Yeah, this is us spitballing here.
This is Dave and Lance making a real good guess. That's all it is. Want to remind you, you may not have known about this. We've talked about it not at all here on SuperTalk Mississippi, but it's Cruising the Coast Week. The lottery team today going to be at the Circle K in Ocean Springs from 11 till 1. You can get some Mississippi Lottery swag. I wonder if they have, we talked about this, I think it was last week, those little vinyl envelope pouch things that you can store your number selection sheets in.
Yeah,
Maybe they'll have some of those.
I don't know. I saw Ricky Matthews set up yesterday, though, and like literally 50 yards behind him, it said, get your Cruising the Coast T-shirt, like swag right there. So he was pretty close to the one of those swag trailers with the T-shirts. So they always have a great T-shirt.
Yeah, they really do. I got 3 new scratch-off games in October, $1 Lucky Numbers ticket, $3 Bingo Night ticket, or a $5 cash money ticket. You can find out more at mslottery.com. All you got to do is go there, and they'll fill you in. The winners, holy cow. We're going to need another segment just to get through the winners, I think. Cash 4 alone. Drew, Forest, Biloxi, Starkville, Iberville, $2,500, $2,600, $2,700, $3,300, $3,303. Let's get that exact. And the Iberville man, $6,350 on Cash 4. That's a stack of money. Yeah. That they handed out just on that game yesterday. Cash Pop had 3 players win $1,000 each from Shaw, Lewin, and Yazoo City. Match 5, Summit Man won $800 on a ticket he bought in Byram, might I add. And a Metcalf Man won $1,670. The dollar doubler scratch off had a winner there, $800 in Greenville. 20X the money, the $5 scratch off. Greenwood woman won $5,000. The $5 blazing hot bucks, $5,000 to a Pascagoula woman. the 200X $20 cash blitz, $1,000 in Tupelo, and a man in Petal bought a ticket in Hattiesburg. That was a good choice. He won $50,000 after spending $20. Once again, I will go to my investment expert in the booth. Is that a good investment?
I've taken it all day, man. That's the easy money right there.
That's what's, I think the official complicated finance term is. It's an excellent rate of return on your investment.
Exactly. It's hard to beat that. Anytime you can get the multiple of 300, 400, 500%, 1,000%. Yeah, that's the stuff you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Minimal investment, big return. Give it to me.
If I hand you a 20 and you hand me 50,000 back, yeah, you're my friend now. So
if you're a stockbroker and your broker does that, yeah, you love that guy.
You're taking him to lunch. I'll tell you that much.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mississippi Lottery, go find you a spot, buy you a ticket, win you your money, because it's waiting for you. Up next, we have news from Fox News, Super Talk Mississippi News, and then our numero 20 of mornings here on Super Talk on a Friday morning. Keep it here.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
What are we going to do? Rise and shine with information and insight.
Check it out.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Imagine DLR out riding in an ambulance singing this.
Is this the right beats per minute to do CPR to? I hope it is.
Exactly.
I gotta look that up. I know Staying Alive is, which is my favorite ironic fact there. It's not even ironic.
Staying Alive, really? Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, Staying Alive, if you do CPR to the time of Staying Alive, just let it play in your head while you're doing CPR. You're doing the right timing. It's absolutely perfect. This hour of mornings without Richard Cross on his jet somewhere, brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough. If you're struggling with HR, benefits, payroll, you got a lot of company. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can give you a full range of employer services and a custom plan that fits you and your business. Call them today at 601-206-7966, or you can go to MWGEmployerServices.com. Made mention of the fact that we got our chief finance guy in the booth over there. Mm-hmm. As someone with a lot of financial markets experience, how does it make you feel when you just describe the visceral feeling when you hear the Secretary of the Treasury say that we're ready to take exceptional measures to give stability to the market?
I always I believe in the market as far as an organic beast. It has a life of its own. I don't like it when government steps in. I really don't. I didn't like the bailouts. I didn't like Operation Twists and all of these different things that you did. However, stating that, you definitely don't want to see the Western economy and the Western economies collapse. We know that there's a lot of debt out there, and with that, you got to be real careful. So, creating stability. I've never seen a government actually do that in a financial market. That's the thing. Anytime you try to control price or create stability, when it doesn't work on its own, that means there's problems. There's certain things that are pent up somewhere that aren't necessarily fluid, I guess is for lack of a better word, and therefore issues exist. And a lot of us as consumers don't quite understand how those things work. And generally debt, though, is the one that you got to worry about because it can infect things very quickly. And whenever you hear a government talking about stability, you're hearing them talk about debt. I mean, let's be realistic. And so anytime you hear that, it worries me, mainly because I'd like to see markets function on their own.
Scott Besant apparently made that comment, is why I threw that out there.
But I mean, that's me, spending time in the markets. I like seeing them operate with sanity, without needing help and guardrails. But that's the nature of the beast with economies and economics. It's not a science; it's an art. It's very difficult to keep things running all together at the same time. So, but again, the thing that always infects markets to me is debt. That's where you're going to have your biggest issues. And we know that we have a debt problem. That's reality. That doesn't mean you can't solve the problem, but it takes time and it's painful. And sometimes it does require the government or those types of entities to maybe step in and create conditions in which you don't have sell-offs and things that affect markets in an unforeseen or, unconscionable way that were unintended. So, I mean, that's where, again, there's always going to be some government, I wouldn't say meddling, but, puppet mastering, but, and you hope it's positive in that way, I guess, is where I'm going.
To me, in my uneducated shoot from the hip fashion, that's the only one I have, so it's the one I use quite regularly. We have the same problem with this that we have with a lot of other problems in society right now, especially in America. We tend to try to find the right Band-Aid to put on the bullet hole instead of, dealing with the actual problem. Let's cover it up.
Right, yeah. I think we're still dealing, and again, it's not popular to have this conversation, but we spent a lot of money on COVID, okay? You gave a lot of money to businesses to basically just not shut down, and they had no revenue and non-traditional business functioning, right? I mean, it was a situation in which you don't have any customers, but yet you still have income coming in from some source, and that source was the government in many cases. So that cost a lot of money. That's not something that you're going to pay off in 3 or 4 years.
Well, and it was a very short-term version of what we've seen for the last 15 years with the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare.
We keep nailing more shingles on top of it to weigh it down even more. Instead of, cleaning the roof and putting a new roof on it, we just keep kind of nailing stuff down and hoping that it doesn't spring a leak. So I do think that healthcare has been an issue in this country. And we see now there's a big fight going on, obviously, over should we be giving illegals health care? Are they entitled to this? And that's the big deal. And Democrats want $1.5 trillion for that, which we don't have.
Let me ask you something. If illegal immigrants, and we are discussing people who are not citizens of the United States,
right?
If they get health care benefits from the country, if they get the ability to vote, if they get the ability to have a driver's license, a CDL, and work, and do all of these things, what are the benefits of being a citizen if you don't have to be a citizen to get all of that? What do you get as a citizen that you wouldn't get if you were an illegal alien if you allow that to go on?
Well, again, that's you find a country on the planet other than ours that allows this.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be realistic. Look how well that's going.
Yeah, it's going great.
Yeah. And England's a little island country, right? Had the Grand Empire. But, I mean, you look at most of your colonial powers, if you just go look at a debt map, look at the colonial powers of Western Europe and look at us. We had a colonialism, and we're dealing with paying for a lot of that right now. I mean, that stuff's not cheap. Having an empire sprung across the world that you're trying to maintain costs a lot of money, and that's you're seeing France and many of those, America and England and to some extent Spain and Italy. Those that had far-flung empires are dealing with the byproduct of those things now. And you go, well, why? Why was that a problem? They should have been growing cotton here and digging up this there, and having all this income coming in. That's not how it works. Because the populations that you were governing were
have you
were
ever
poor.
met human beings?
So I mean. At the end of the day, France is a great example of, how, the empire can crumble and create the situation in which you're seeing now, where you have this guilt complex that, oh, well, we treated these people so wrong, so let's just bring them here. And cultures don't mix like that. Oil and water does not come together and all of a sudden make something that is drinkable, or usable. It's separate. And we see that all over Europe too, as these city-states that became countries, and, most of them didn't like each other very much. They had separate languages and all this stuff. And so the dysfunctionality of all that is something you're kind of seeing in these countries now, as they've imported so many people from those far-flung colonies. Now, what is the identity of their own home country now? And we can look at this country too. If you would have allowed and continue to allow the border to be Swiss cheese, it was going to happen here too. And it was going to come, and it was on its way.
One thing I have noticed, there is a phrase that is not being used by really anyone right now, but particularly on the left, talking about immigration. That was my entire life has been a very common phrase used all the time. We never refer to America as a melting pot anymore. You know why? Because none of the illegal immigrants are melting. That's part of being a melting pot. They're supposed to melt and blend in with the rest of the soup. They're supposed to become a component of it.
Well, you're supposed to become an American. Yeah.
Like a rotten turnip floating on top. You have to melt. So we quit calling it a melting pot because, melting is no longer the point.
Yeah,
blending is no longer the point.
Well, the point is to come here, make money, and send it back to your country, and wave your flag here and do the things here that, from where you came from, and then basically protest and be cause problems, and not necessarily be a good guest. That's okay now, But if you go do that in Russia, trust me, that you'll be in jail. If you go do that in China and many countries out there, you're not going to have the freedom that you give illegals in this country to run roughshod over basic rules. They don't get that freedom anywhere. So why do you think they're coming here? Okay, they're coming here because they can take advantage of the situation.
They can get away with it.
There you
That's
go.
why. People will only take as much as you allow them to take.
And look at the border now. There ain't nobody there because the conditions here are not prevalent for them to succeed.
All of a sudden, the faucet got turned off at the border. To be fair, we went in and capped the pipe. That always helps when the water's leaking everywhere.
There you go.
But melting pot, 100%. Come on in, take whatever you'd like. No, not so much. We got to get back to being a melting pot. That's fine. That's what America is built on. Yes, I agree. This nonsense, not so much. We continue on this Friday morning now.
Hey, how's it going, man?
The news you need.
Every 10, 15 minutes, there's something.
The talk you love.
They really talk about the things that matter.
I'm into all that stuff.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Walks down the street, he says, why am I short of attention? Got a short little span of attention, and oh, my nights are so long. Where's my wife and family? What if I die here? Who'll be my role model? Now that my role model is gone. He ducked back down the alley with some roly-poly little bat-faced girl.
I know her.
Little bat-faced girl.
There were incidents and accidents. There were hints and allegations.
Roly-poly little bat-faced girl. How quickly would Paul Simon be canceled if he released that today?
Oh, no way it gets out, right? I mean,
the howling
somebody's upset.
It would be just enormous.
Well, there would be about 800,000 protesters out there that would think they were he was talking about them. So,
well, to be fair, most of the protesters would be unattractive, overweight people.
I want to say one thing. One of the best Bond movies, though, is The Spy Who Loved Me. The opening scene, though, how pretentious must you be to ski down a mountain and then as he's pulling the chute, and you got the Union Jack flag, which is the parachute. It's like, that doesn't happen. No spy is like on the way out the door giving them the finger with their country flag. Yeah, it was us. But I love that. It's one of those great movies too, though. But it
is. It's hard to go against the classics, but I got to tell you, and I know you've seen it. Skyfall is a great movie.
Oh yeah, I like the Daniel Craig ones. I'm interested to see where it goes from here. He was more of a darker Bond,
yeah.
But Skyfall, great movie. I really do like all the ones that he was in. But again, very edgy, different from the others, and you had the more comedic style with Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton.
The clown disguise. Every time you say Roger Moore as James Bond, the image of him in that clown
Ronald
disguise
McDonald
comes to my mind. Yeah. The big enormous bow tie and the little bowler hat and the red nose. It was hysterical.
Well, we digress, yeah. The music video with Chevy Chase is the best, though, right? Cornelius Chevy Chase, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that
Richard
video.
Pryor didn't like him.
Richard Pryor didn't like Chevy. And I think a lot of people didn't like Chevy Chase.
Yeah. He was not popular.
Kind of a punk, I think, on set. And that movie that they just did about Saturday Night Live, I think it's called Saturday Night. It's about the initial show and the cast and everybody, how it all comes together with Lorne Michaels and Chevy and all them. And Chevy plays a role. The person who plays him, I can't remember his name. He looks a lot like him, but you get a lot of insight from that movie about his personality. You know, like he seemed to like to stir the pot a lot, create controversy for controversy's sake. You know, I don't know why.
Yes. Yes, he was a problem causer.
Mm-hmm.
That was
and
only
I think he reveled in
he
that.
had.
Yeah, I think he reveled in that. That was kind of his shtick, you know.
He enjoyed it. I don't know if you heard about this. Princeton had an announcement yesterday. You know, several years ago they stopped requiring standardized test scores for admission, SAT, ACT, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to give them any scores. You just come in and they would judge you on your merits. We all know what that means.
Yeah.
Well, they announced yesterday that starting with their 27-28 admission cycle, they will once again be requiring a standardized test score because, and this is part of their statement, quote, the decision to resume testing requirements follows a review of 5 years of data from the test optional period, which found that academic performance at Princeton was stronger for students who chose to submit test scores than for students who did not, end quote. In other words, they're going back to a merit-based system to decide who gets to go there.
I tell you, I was recruited by Princeton back in the day. That was my only Ivy League school that recruited me, and I always look back and go, man, you know, I could have had me an Ivy League education and all that good old stuff. But yeah, I had to have a standardized test. They made you take the SAT back then to actually get into many East Coast schools. The ACT was like frowned upon. So I remember taking the SAT, and I didn't do great on it, you know, as compared to the ACT. It was a little different format I wasn't as comfortable with, but you know, I think I took it once, and it was enough to get in, you know, if you played sports. But I wasn't getting any academic, you know, full ride or anything from Princeton. But, yeah, I mean, what a beautiful place. I think all places should be based on merit first and foremost. And then if you have, you know, some spots that are unfilled down there, then, you know, maybe hand those out some other way. But I like the merit-based system in general, you know.
Yes.
I think wake up, go to work, or if there's something you want to achieve in this world, you got to put the shoes on, get up, and get after it, man. I mean, I don't have much patience for people that can do and don't.
Have you given any thought ever to just how much in general we have gotten away from merit-based practices and policies?
You see it at every little kid baseball tournament all summer long. They all get rings for participating and all that. We're teaching them at a very young age that they're special. You're special. You're special. You don't have to do things this way because you're special.
You showed up.
You showed up. Yeah, you put your shoes on and made it. Let's get a ring.
They're on the wrong feet, but here's a trophy.
But again, it's not being critical. It's just very different than the way I grew up. Where
I'll be critical.
I mean, I understand it. I have a nephew that went through it, and he's done very well. And my niece is, you know, they're both great kids. They work hard. They study hard. It is different raising a child, I think, a little today. There's way more for them to do. There's way more outlets. You know, there's just. I have a lot of sympathy for the parent today, especially with social media and trying to stay on top of everything that's out there in front of your children. I know. I'll tell
you a secret. Mm-hmm. The participation trophies, everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets bragged on. That's for the parents, not the kids. They don't care.
Well, and like I said,
they don't notice.
I like the fact that that competition was something you woke up every day knowing that in order to be good or to be great, you had to put in the time, you had to put in the right type time, you had to study the right way, you had to practice the right way, that there wasn't really any excuse for not doing that if you wanted to achieve. I don't like the training wheels always being on for everyone all the time. At some point, you got to grow up. Quit throwing garbage out your car, stop at a stop sign, get out of the left lane on your phone. I mean, there are things and ways to do things. And I think, as you're saying, we've kind of gotten away from some of that. And
we've completely gotten away from it. It's not just in this arena. I'm going to throw out one word for you where I think we have gotten away from merit-based practices. Elections.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's invasive to the entire society at this point. We don't make judgments based on merits, on results. We make judgments based on a lot of other factors that really, when you get right down to it, that's not the point. It's not what you're supposed to be looking at, but that's how we that's how we choose our breakfast cereal. That's how we choose everything, our friends. It's all performative. Basically, that's my new favorite word. I've been using that a lot, and the more I use it, the more I realize it applies to just about everything. So much of life in America in the 21st century is performative. Well, I want to make sure I'm seen as doing the right thing. You know who is responsible for most of the advancement in history? Jerks. The people that don't care what anybody else thinks about what they're doing, saying, thinking, or believing.
Hey, well, and you could, for a long time, that was one of the places you found kind of a haven for that was in comedy. And I think we've gotten so far away from that now that it's almost like anything said that's not patting someone on the back is going to be deemed as, some kind of hate crime or something.
Well, anything we say or do that's not patting the right people on the back.
Yeah. Well,
that's where we're at.
I don't, doing a good job, I think, I don't ask, you don't really demand or expect someone every day to come up and say, hey, great job today. You showed up and did a good job, right? I mean, Paul and I would have this conversation. I would say, hey, what did you think about the show or something? And I always knew the answer was, it was all right.
Yep.
We never, that was some kind of little funny joke we would have with each other as he taught me out of the gate. We're never going to have a great show, Lance, because if we do, we need to hang it up.
Yep.
Well, that means we're not motivated anymore, And I'm like, okay, yeah.
I think it was 1983 I got that advice. I was just starting in radio, and they said the day you get off the air and you think to yourself, that was perfect, I can't do any better, go get a paper route, you're done.
Right. Well, and it kind of slapped me across the face when we first told me that. And I'm like, what do you mean we're never going to have a great show? Well, we're never going to. And his wisdom was of the era where I grew up and had mentors and people like Paul Gallo that were part of my life, and they expected you to continue trying to get better every day. It wasn't, all right, we arrived, we're here, we did it.
Time to coast.
There was more.
There is no coast.
There was always more that we had to do, and I love that. I absolutely love it.
Paul was old school radio. Mm-hmm. He came up through the trenches just like the rest of us. He knew his stuff, and that is a fundamental truth of anything. If you think you've got it nailed down, well, it's over. Yeah. Congratulations.
And I loved that. That was wisdom that every day I really enjoyed, because that's the way I grew up, You got to earn it. Every day you got to earn it.
Well, up next, in the next segment, we've got a gentleman who adheres to that philosophy quite well, because he still hasn't perfected blowing up turkeys. He does that every year. He's a state fire marshal, but we're going to have him put his Mississippi Insurance Commissioner hat on when Mike Chaney joins us right after the break here on SuperTalk Mississippi on Mornings. Keep it here.
From the Seabrook.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Coffee, conversations, and clarity. What a great way to start your Mississippi day. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Strange but not a stranger.
It just hit me, the bumper that you went with.
I was wondering when you were going to smile. I was like, it's going to hit at some point. I know.
It took me, I was concentrating on other stuff and getting all these papers straightened out and whatnot, and then it sank in. Mornings with Richard Cross, without Richard Cross today, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Of course, the state fire marshal joins us in his capacity as the Mississippi Insurance Commissioner because this man stays busy. It's Commissioner Mike Chaney. How you doing this morning, Mike?
Doing great. Doing great.
Hey, don't let him lie. He's watching deer this morning, so you know he's got some twins out there and a mama deer trying to get rid of them. She's like, no more of this nursing.
It's a hard life.
I tell you, when you see the deer out, you know the cold weather's coming back. So that's good. That's good news for all the hunters out there today.
That is always good news. And I do have to ask you, because next month is November, have you picked your turkey out yet to go on the deep fryer out at the Fire Academy?
Well, we haven't got the right turkey. Sometimes I feel like I want to fry one of the legislators out there. I say that as a joke.
Mostly.
We're going to have a nice little turkey fry out there. You know, that's a great venue for us to say, if you deep fry a turkey, be very careful. Don't put one in that's frozen because of the ice cubes on it and the little icicles, and et cetera, will make the grease boil over and you'll start a fire. We've got videos of that.
Yeah, you've put on a fantastic demonstration of that over the years, because nothing drives that point home better than seeing it actually happen, but in a safe, controlled environment. It kind of drives it home. But we're talking about a different kind of disaster today. I want to talk with you about it. We have a guest column from Commissioner Mike Chaney at SuperTalk.fm on this subject. And that is cybersecurity. Did you ever think, when you started your professional life all those years ago, did you ever think you would be having a conversation about cybersecurity in insurance?
Not at all. We knew that we would have something called data breaches, but we didn't think about cybersecurity. And the world has changed so much in the last decade about what you can and can't do with the internet, and with cybersecurity being one of the main things that you got to have to protect your data. And what happens, so the listening public needs to hear this. People get a hold of your Social Security number and your financial information, they can run you for the rest of your life. And our job is to protect that data so that crooks don't get a hold of it, misuse your credit card, wipe out your bank accounts, and all the other things that go along with it. And cybersecurity is what we have to do to protect that data. And cybersecurity is big business today, in the fact that companies insure against their data being stolen by crooks out of Europe. Most of them are Russian or communist bloc nations, you might say. A lot of people from South America are involved in some of these schemes. So it's a big deal to us, and it's a constant battle. This is a 24/7 issue for us. And we have to use the best technology available to try to prevent people from stealing that data.
Well, and especially when it comes to cybersecurity, part of the problem is while you're working on figuring out how to stop this, they've already moved on and they're doing something else. It's an ever-evolving battlefield, isn't it?
It's an ever-evolving battlefield, and we have things like with the Internet today, even college students can download change files to make me say things that I didn't say. Demonstrations of that all the time over the Internet. And if you're the insurance commissioner, you got to worry about somebody calling and send a check to this address, and it doesn't go to the right person. If it's been damaged or a claim file, it goes to some crook somewhere. And then you have people that can take and put your photograph on something that's wrong. Somebody showed me how they could put a photograph of a leading U.S. figure sitting in my desk. It took them less than 10 seconds to do it. It amazes me at what goes on today. And we're trying to figure out how do you stop that to keep that data and that intelligence from being used for criminal purposes.
Well, and that's the thing. There are levels to this, because sometimes you'll hear about a data breach that contained non-sensitive information. It didn't have your Social Security number. It didn't have your debit card number, but it had some of your other information. There are different levels to the type of data that have to be protected, isn't there?
Well, there are. You've got simple data like getting your email address and your phone number so they can spoof your calls and try to sell you ads and things over the internet are one thing, but to take your Social Security number, your credit card numbers, and steal those numbers, that's extremely serious. And what you end up doing is you lose your bank accounts if you're not careful. On the national scene, you're talking about stealing millions of records and using those records down the road to take care of your retirement. Maybe they'll falsify a title on your home and take your house away from you. It's a never-ending battle. So, you've got title insurance, and they can falsify the title insurance to put it in somebody else's name. So it's an ever-ending battle for us, depending upon the level of cyber crimes that are committed. And what we do at the department back in 2019, we kind of got ahead of the curve a little bit and got a law passed by the legislature where we require insurance companies to notify us within 3 days of a data breach. If they don't, it's a pretty big, severe fine for them. We can't control the data that they have in their data banks or in the cloud, as we so to speak. But we can control how they secure that data, and we make them try to secure it so it's not stolen by the criminals that run around trying to use artificial intelligence and all the other technology available to steal your money.
Well, and it's never going to be 100% secure because what one person can come up with, somebody else can come up with a way to take advantage of it every time.
You're correct, and I tell you, Hughes, you just got to stay ahead of the curve. It's a never-ending battle. And the other problem for us is finding people that are qualified to help us out. We hired a young college student within the last couple of weeks who just graduated, and his goal was to get into cybersecurity. And these kids are brilliant. They're smart about data. They may not know a lot about business, but they know how to prevent some of the data thefts that are going on. And that's what we try to find, kids and young people that understand how this impacts their parents and the rest of the world. Those are the people we're looking for to help us out.
Well, and one thing I want to make sure we make a point to say this. When you're talking about these various things about potentially losing your house or losing your retirement or losing your bank account, these aren't hypotheticals. These are all things that have happened, not necessarily in Mississippi, but they have happened. This isn't, a scare tactic. This is what we're dealing with.
We say it every day. We've had instances within the last 2 weeks where people have rediverted life insurance proceeds from a death, and they did it by using artificial intelligence and some other technology. I won't say over the air how they did it, but it was fairly simple. It was a lot more simple than we thought, and they diverted $150,000 of insurance proceeds to a false address, and that money disappeared. We were able to get the banks to stop transfers on the third transfer. So there's a lot of things. We just don't talk about that in public, but that's what we do on a daily basis. It's just a lot of things that we have to do to protect the public. And people will steal your money. If they get an opportunity, they'll do it. Our job is to keep honest people honest.
Yeah, well, that's all you can do, and then fight back the tide of the crooks, which are always there. They've always been there, and that's one thing that I think we forget. We get so caught up in the AI, and we get so caught up in all of the various types of scams that are going on today. I know you remember this like I do. It wasn't too terribly long ago when the scam was chain letters would come in the mail, in your mailbox.
Oh, yeah, and it makes you think, all I got to do is get on this letter and I can make a lot of money. And you saw that a lot back 20 years ago. But now it's all used on the Internet in another fashion. Same type scam, it's just another way to do it.
And that's why I say it's an ever-evolving, never-ending battle, because whatever you come up with to stop, for example, that case you were talking about just a second ago with life insurance, you figure out how they did it, they block it, well, guess what? They've already found another one. They've already found some other way to try to get their hands on your money. And that's why I think it's almost kind of a thankless task, and I think that's an important part of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which October is to let people know just how much work is going on behind the scenes. Can you stick around through the break, Commissioner?
That I can do, sure.
Fantastic. Keep your eye on those deer. And we'll be back with Insurance Commissioner Mike Chaney here on Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Keep it here.
You're waking up to what matters. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Well, they call me the fireman. That's my name. Making my rounds all over town, putting out old flames. Hell, everybody like to have what I got. I can cool them down when they're smoldering hot. I'm the fireman. That's my name.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here. And Commissioner Mike Chaney, he's a double commissioner, kinda. He's the insurance commissioner. He's also the state fire marshal, which we referred to back at the beginning when he issued his kind invitation for some legislatures to attend the fish fry out at the State Fire Academy. You know, the whole thing with cybersecurity, Mike, is tough for a lot of people to wrap their head around. I know we spent the last segment talking about it, but this is almost too complicated of an issue for a lot of people to understand, and rightfully so, because it gets more complicated every day.
Well, you're right about that, Dave. And when you got sectors in the industry, not only life insurance, but you got sectors like health insurance and financial services that like annuities and wealth managers. If that data is stolen, and we do regulate them to some degree, if that data is stolen, you're talking about all your savings that you've worked all your life to put aside, or your retirement plans can be stolen from you. The issue of cybersecurity is that you've got to protect the consumers. That's what our job is about. Do for them what they can't do for themselves.
Well, and that was my next question that I wanted to get to, is we're talking about this and all the good, hard work that you're doing as insurance commissioner and all of the people that work with you. What, if anything, can the actual consumers do to help lessen some of these problems that keep cropping up in terms of cybersecurity?
Well, one of the things they can do is be very, very, very careful about how they let their passwords get out. On computer systems, you need to change the password on a regular basis, something that can't be guessed very easily. You don't want to put down your telephone number or your date of birth. That's just not a good password. You may require two-party verification, authorization, as some people say. And that's where if you log on to a website, they will text you a login number to your cell phone, and then you can use that. So that's two-party verification. You need to be aware of what happens if you throw your Social Security number on junk mail into the trash. Most people don't do dumpster diving very often to try to get your data, but some people do. In today's climate, you just don't know what crooks will do. And then you've got people that can scam your credit card numbers, even if there are 16 digits, and utilize that against you. So the thing there is use a card with a chip, which is hard to duplicate. You can't read the numbers off the front of it. You can't take a picture of it with a camera to try to get a QR code off of it if there's a QR code on the credit card. So there's a lot of things the consumer can do. Main thing they can do is just make certain that their personal information is secure, that it's not out in the open, and that you change your passwords on your computer. And even if you have a cell phone, be certain that the information is not shared with someone else but by Bluetooth or some other method.
That's exactly right. We've got just a couple of minutes left. I want to ask you, all joking aside, we're just a couple of months away from the next session of the Mississippi State Legislature. As insurance commissioner and even as state fire marshal, is there anything that would be on your wish list that you would like to see get done in this upcoming session?
We've tried to pass, Dave, mitigation for the Gulf Coast and statewide. We've been unable to do that. We got a mitigation bill introduced in 2007 when I was still in the Senate. Actually, it was introduced by my friend Steve Holland, who he and I politically are different. But to get the mitigation bill passed, we asked Steve to do it, and he did, and it became a piece of legislation that's statutory law. So mitigation is real simple. You fix a house's roof. That's the first thing that you do to stay on during a high wind event, whether it be a hurricane or just high winds. And you put a membrane down that's sticky and waterproof over the decking, which is usually plywood on the roof. And that keeps water from penetrating if it goes through the roof itself. So we've been trying to get a mitigation program passed since 2008. We got funding for it finally in 2024 when we asked the legislature if they would fund it, and we found the money. They did. And then without any knowledge of ours being foretold, they took the $5 million and said you do not have authority to spend those dollars. I just don't think we're going to be able to get a mitigation program out of the legislature. It would be on my wish list. We've got a couple of other things, but sometimes you just say you've got other battles you got to fight. We've got issues with health care. If the tax credits are not extended, we've got to figure out a way to cover another 200,000 to 250,000 people that will be dumped into the uninsured market. That will affect the hospitals, doctors' incomes, and et cetera. And then we've always got the issue of the fraud that occurs in the insurance industry and the issues with what do we do about keeping fire ratings where they need to be so people can afford to live in the state of Mississippi. We got a long list, but the probability of getting any of that done is probably slim to small.
But all you can do is try. Insurance Commissioner Mike Chaney, also the State Fire Marshal. Always enjoy talking to you, my friend. Stay busy.
Always good to talk to you, Dave. And I know you got...
You ask where you heard it. You tell them.
I know you heard it. Right here.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Well, a good dog on the ground's worth 3 in the saddle, no matter where you're from. Been many good dog was a friend to a man, but Sam was the greatest one. He was the hound of hounds, he was the wonder of all walkers. He loved howling at the moon, he loved treeing that raccoon. Most of all, he was my best friend.
Welcome back. Last hour of this morning. And our edition of Mornings Without Richard Cross was brought to you by MWG Employer Services. You can find out more by giving them a call at 601-206-7966, or you can go to MWGEmployerServices.com. Now we are joined by the man who has yet to bring us a biscuit, but that's okay. We're not going to hold it against him. Insurance, that was Mike. Agriculture and Commerce Commissioner Andy Gipson, my buddy, joins us. How you doing this morning, Commish?
Oh, we're doing great today. Great to be with you. Thank you for having me back on. And yeah, we got plenty of biscuits baked and ready to serve down at the State Fair.
And I realize it's because I haven't had breakfast yet, but that's always the most important part to me, it seems like. That is such a cool idea that you guys came up with. How did that even get started? Who came up with that idea?
Well, it was former commissioner, the late Buck Ross, who had the idea to do that, to have this biscuit booth, and set it up about 50-something years ago. And it's been going strong ever since. People come from far and wide to get that fresh homemade buttermilk biscuit, and it is so good that they keep coming back. Now, the lines have been huge this year, and we're glad to see folks coming out.
Most definitely, and folks are coming out, and so far from everything that you see and hear, it's been a fantastic state fair so far.
It really has, Dave. We've had a lot of new things, and you know, our theme this year is tied into the America 250 years of American freedom. We're really celebrating America 250, and we're going to do it in a big fashion Monday evening when Lee Greenwood takes the stage for a great performance. And if I don't do anything else, I'm going to sing God Bless the USA with Lee Greenwood. And I invite everybody to come out. That'll be Monday evening, Columbus Day. That morning, we'll have a great American parade at 9:30. That's free for folks to come watch at the State Fair. So 9:30 parade. And then after the rodeo at 7 o'clock, Lee Greenwood will perform outside at that Dixie National Arena, the outdoor arena, followed by the biggest fireworks show we've ever had. You don't want to miss it as we celebrate America.
Well, and that all seems incredibly fitting because, this is the fair leading into the 250th celebration. It's a year-long celebration, and we're taking part in that. And it's good to see. It's good to take a moment to try to remember how to be patriotic. Everyone seems to spend so much time at each other's throats, and occasionally I get the impression we've forgotten what it means to be an American, and this is a great way to remind us of what all of this is supposed to be about, Andy.
Yeah, we are participating with America 250. It's a competition to see who can have the most patriotic state fair. So one simple thing that we're inviting everyone who comes to the fair to do, wear your most patriotic red, white, and blue. And I enjoyed seeing the amazing outfits and people coming out to celebrate America. A lot of them, and we're having a great time. You got one big weekend to enjoy. Of course, today and Saturday, it'll open at 10, Sunday again. And then Monday, Columbus Day this year, we're also open, and that'll be the big send-off for America 250 when we have a great Lee Greenwood concert. One other thing I'll mention, the official America 250 storytelling camper van is what it is. It's a camper that's been traveling the country. It'll be at the State Fair on Saturday. So we'll be highlighting the stories of Mississippians as we record those for the next 250 years. We're excited to be a part of this great event. And I want to thank President Donald Trump for having the vision to make this such a big celebration. America 250 already is.
Well, and it should be a big celebration, and I think we're doing a great job of it. One thing that's not under your control, but boy, is it playing into your favor. You have absolutely gorgeous weather for the entire rest of the state fair, it looks like. It's even going to be fair weather. It's going to be cooler. This is great.
We are delighted about that. It seems like a Mississippi tradition that when the fair comes to town, the cool weather comes at some point. And it's been hot the first half of the fair, but it's cooled off, and it looks like it's going to be a perfect weekend for the fair. So, yeah, we're expecting this is going to really help our attendance and help more families come out to enjoy the state's largest event, the Mississippi State Fair.
Well, and the other good thing that I want to mention is that we haven't really had any problems this time around, have we? It's a very safe, very nice, very fun, free atmosphere over there at the state fairgrounds.
Yeah, Dave, we've done some simple things, common sense things. We built a law enforcement task force composed of not only local law enforcement, JPD and Hines Sheriff's Office, but several other agencies, including our statewide law enforcement, the Highway Patrol, our own ag theft agents are out there, and we've got folks from every statewide law enforcement that are on the grounds. We even have the National Guard on hand. So we have a very safe place. We have a great environment, and we're seeing a lot more Mississippi families come into the fair this year than have in recent years, because our goal is to make this the safest place in the state of Mississippi, and I think we've succeeded. Our second goal is to make it the cleanest place. We've really worked hard to keep this fair clean. We want it just as clean on every day as it was on opening day, and that's our standard. So we're out there. I'm there every day. My family's there every day. Come out and see us. And, we got 100 different rides, 100 different food vendors. You can come enjoy a lot of free activities. The Taste of the Dixie National Rodeo every evening at 7 o'clock. And on Saturday and Sunday, 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So come on out, enjoy the fun. It's only $10 a person to get in. We don't charge for parking anymore, and you can actually buy your tickets online now for ease of getting in and out. So no long lines.
Well, and that's the thing. You're doing a great job of illustrating one other part about the state fair. There's a little something for everybody at the state fair. You don't like the rides? No problem. There's a whole lot of other stuff to do.
That's right. When you come this weekend, well, starting today, we've got dairy goat shows. We have the dairy cattle shows. And this evening, we'll have what's called the Pretty Cow Contest this evening, Friday evening. And this year, they're all the cows are going to dress up in their best patriotic outfits. So we're having the most patriotic cow competition tonight. It's something for everybody. The Trade Mart is full of exhibits and vendors. You're going to love it. Come on out.
Where do you even find clothes for a cow?
Well, you'll just have to come and find out. These livestock families are very creative, and the kids, 4-H and FFA kids, they've developed costumes. They do this every year. They dress those dairy cattle up into some of the most amazing and creative outfits you can see. But each one of them has a theme, too. So they walk around. That'll be in Barn 14, the livestock judging arena, and it'll be this evening at 7 o'clock, right around the same time as the Dixie National Taste of the Dixie National Rodeo kicks off down the way.
Now, great food, a lot of fun. The kids will enjoy themselves. Grandma and Grandpa will enjoy themselves. Everybody in between those two generations are going to enjoy themselves. It's a great place to go, and especially with the weather that you ordered up. I don't know how you did it. You're really good. You pull this off every year, it seems like. Got fantastic weather for it. I can't think of a single reason why this wouldn't be on your destination list for the weekend, because it's just kind of all coming together, and I think a lot of that is down to your hard work, Commissioner.
We put a lot of work into planning this fair, and then as soon as the fair is over, we'll turn right around and start planning the largest rodeo east of the Mississippi River, the Dixie National Livestock Show and Rodeo. And you can buy your tickets for that now. Actually, when you come to the fair, you can buy those tickets at the box office. So we want to keep it going and growing and bigger and better than ever. As we celebrate America's 250 years of freedom, we have a lot to celebrate, a lot to be thankful to the good Lord for. So come out and enjoy the fair, and then come see us again at the Dixie National in February. And come on, you're going to have a great time. You're going to make great family memories. And after all, that's what it's about.
My question is, after you have Lee Greenwood this coming Monday, which was a fantastic booking, a fantastic get, how do you top that for the Dixie Nationals?
We're working on it right now. We have Tanya Tucker coming to sing for one thing, and
okay.
A lot of great.
It's her birthday today.
A lot of great. And we're working very closely with our military here. We have something very special planned for the Dixie National, our National Guard. General Bobby Ginn will be riding a horse with me in the parade Saturday morning. And we've been talking about some things that we can do, not only for the Dixie National, but for the fair again next year. So we're proud to partner with our Mississippi National Guard and thank them when you see them for serving our great country.
Mississippi Agriculture Commissioner Andy Gipson, always enjoyed talking to you, sir. Keep up the good work and eat a biscuit for me, will you?
You can count on it. See y'all there.
See, I always ask for things I know it's easy.
In the middle. SuperTalk Mississippi.
You heard it here first.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Here comes the news.
And talking in your sleep. Doesn't matter where you've been, as long as it was deep, yeah. You always knew to wear it well, and you look so fancy, I can tell. I don't mind you hanging out and talking in your sleep.
Welcome back. Mornings on a Friday morning, and a beautiful morning it is. Dave Hughes here in the place of Richard Cross. He'll be back on Monday.
Thank goodness you're in place of Richard. Golly. No, I'm kidding.
You have the biggest love-hate relationship, but you're running low on love sometimes, I think.
Man,
there,
I was trolling him last night. I sent you the picture
yes.
that I created of 2 Learjets, and then I carved out the Richard Cross image and put it in the middle, and said, why have only one? So, and then I get from him, obviously, back, he's sitting there. What spurred it was he's watching the football game. He's got his feet up and this beautiful fire in the fireplace and his outdoor area, and he's just living it up, So I sent him that, the 2 Learjets with him in the middle. He goes, no, those are too small, man. This is more my size. And it's like a 30-seater, that he sends me a pic of. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we're working on it. We're working on it, though.
You got to be able to get up and stretch your legs.
No, I love messing with Richard, though. He's great.
But see, the thing is, he catches a lot of heat. He's been catching it for years from Borky and Hey Dad and the rest of the crew on Sports Talk.
Oh, he's such a great sport, too.
We give him heck, but he's a great sport, and he understands it's all in fun.
Well,
and
he's an
old
athlete. You got to bust each other's chops a bit and have fun with it. And he's a good sport and a pro too. I mean, I can tell you this guy Richard Cross knows his stuff. He prepares so deeply. It is very impressive. It's an honor to work with him, and I always miss him on Fridays. But you're always a trip, and I have a blast getting to visit and hang out with you and talk to Mississippi. And it's fun. It's a little bit of a change of course on Fridays. The way we do things is it's a Friday. And I love that. I love the way it's taken a little bit of a life of its own, and that's the fun thing about live stuff. You kind of roll with it. And you figure out what works and doesn't work.
Every Friday I have this enormous list of things that I have prepped to talk about and things I have studied and dug into. And out of the 20 or 30 that I have, I usually get to about 4.
Yeah, it's
because, like you said, things take on a life of their own.
They do. Well, we were talking about the world of debt and the issues that presents, and one of those things that you pay attention to is just the Western world, right? I mean, we live in the Western world. And if you look at most of Europe, I mean, if you see a splintering off of, China and Russia and Brazil and a lot of Southeast Asian countries, and they start, working each other and trading each other, they'll basically create a system almost identical to what the Western economies are like. But yet to do so, gets them away from the heavy debt burdens that have been plaguing some of Western civilization for, several decades. Well, what that does, though, the problem is you run out of people that want to hold your debt. You run out of buyers, You got 100 apples and 50 people want them. So you got to decrease the price of their apples to get them to be marketable. And that's your real worry if we don't get a grip on this spending problem. And that's not just America. You look at the big countries in Europe. I mean, you can't ask Finland and Norway and Estonia and those folks to hold the debt, and you go, oh, this is AA rated or this is AAA rated. Really? Okay,
that's nice.
Yeah. So that's the big worry that I have with what I see coming would be the competitiveness of the bloc, the BRICS, so to speak, and how they go about creating a system in which they can compete with Western powers. That will not be good for us in the long run, I don't think, because half the world's population is basically represented or more by the BRIC countries. And those countries are growing at a pace much quicker than, say, we, which are losing population and some of Western Europe. So, it's those are the big picture things that we look at. And I believe in Trump and this administration trying to get a grip on which we haven't done. I mean, it is a monster to try to rein in spending. If people have figured that out yet, it's not as easy as just saying, all right, we're going to quit spending so much money. Well, look at all these activist judges and all these people out there trying to block sound fiscal decisions because they don't want to see this. These are activists. And so people saying, well, Trump hasn't done this and that. I think he's tried. I think we've seen a lot of effort placed in trying to reduce the size of government, whittle down some of the swamp, so to speak, the deep staters, and all these things with these key words you hear, Dave. Those are real things, and I do believe he's tried hard. But at the end of the day, man, you look at the uphill battle just to fire one federal government employee.
Well, you put your finger right on one of the problems. If Trump announced that this weekend he was going to go out and have a picnic with Melania and Barron and, you'd let Eric come along, just whoever, you get him out there. And somebody would show up and tell him that a federal judge had just issued a stay on his picnic and an injunction because PETA sued that they were frying chicken. And they would make them all go back inside and have a sandwich. That's the situation as it currently exists in America. There are no nonpartisan things anymore.
It's very polarized, and Thomas makes a good point. He goes, Trump reining in spending, surely you jest. No, what I say is he is not reining in spending. I will say that he is trying to reduce the size of government by reducing certain burdens, U.S. aid being one of those, and you're seeing now the commitment to furloughing and firing employees of the federal government. So, I don't know what else you can ask him to do without Congress's approval.
Here's the thing, and and Congress couldn't vote on whether the color red was red or not right now and get a clear answer. But
you got Democrats wanting a $1.5 trillion increase in spending in order to open the government back up.
Yes. But to Thomas's point, I think this is part of our problem. We are not willing to accept gains. It must be all or nothing. We must completely eliminate all government spending that's wasteful right now, immediately now. I want it now, like a 2-year-old crying at nap time because they want to watch one more cartoon. You have to go through steps and stages. Ain't going fast enough for you? Well, there's the office right down there. You can run.
Well, and back to Thomas, look back at H.R. 3877 in 2019. Look, I don't know what that House resolution is off the top of my head, but I do know the year. I know that what happened in 2019 and what was coming, and there was a lot of money spent that was everyone said it had to be spent. It wasn't just Donald Trump sitting there going, we're going to spend billions and trillions. Everyone demanded some kind of security for a virus that had nothing to do with anybody here. It was bestowed upon you, and this country was in a pickle. I don't know how else you could put it. That's 6 years ago.
My question in response to that is, in these first 9 months of this administration, have we made progress toward the goal of reducing wasteful spending, yes or no? Don't need a big, long, drawn-out answer. Mm-hmm. That's a yes or no question. Have we made progress? If the answer is no, not at all, we're still spending just as much, okay, we got to have a discussion. If the answer is yes, we have to put on our big boy pants and be patient.
Yeah.
If you're making progress towards your goal, that's all you can hope
and
for.
Remember
some days.
The whole DEI, and that was a big issue. The taxpayer funding of these DEI type of agendas through soft money, things like U.S. aid. You had DOGE come in. Name any president or any administration at any point in time in the history of this country that's taken a third party, basically a third party audit, and brought them in and said, all right, find the waste, find the junk, show me where all this stuff's happening that we're so upset about. And it did. They found it. Now, as far as the amount of money that you're able to chisel off of that, I think that's debatable. But the real focus, I would say, is at least somebody is trying to find the waste and fix it. No one else I can imagine in my lifetime has even tried to do that.
That's the problem, though. Trying is not good enough. Making progress is not good enough to a wide swath of people in America.
Of course we're spending more. You know what inflation is, right?
You spending more at the grocery store? Why don't you cut down on your wasteful spending?
If you're spending more, what do you think the government is doing? Come on, let's be realistic here. The government doesn't get some freebie just because they're the government. Inflation exists for everybody.
Now, I will stop you there. The government does not get freebies. The members of Congress.
Illegals and members of Congress get a lot of freebies.
That's a whole different story that we could talk about there. That's a problem. Big time. But, Yes. Do I want it all to be fixed today? Sure. Do I want to sign up for a 5K and get there and win in the first 5 seconds? Sure. That's not going to happen either.
Unless you're Speedy Gonzalez, right?
You're not even going to finish it in 5 seconds. If you're Speedy Gonzalez, it's going to take at least 10. So you got to be patient, no matter what.
Instant gratification.
Right.
Got to put that on the back shelf.
It's exactly right. We have to remember what it's like to put in hard work over a long period of time to achieve.
From the Seabrook.
Check this out. Now, what can be offered to you? Mornings with Richard Cross. Information. Super Talk, Mississippi.
That's life. That's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top in June.
Welcome back. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, even when Dave is here. Community Bank, they're more than just a place to manage your money. They're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, they've been rooted in the community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, they're here every step of the way, dedicated to their customers, committed to your success, and always there when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC.
Hey, speaking of banking.
Yeah.
The one I always loved, and we had Peter Costa and others use this as well, but the U.S. debt clock is always fun to look at. But, when you talk about debt and spending and all that, just think of this, the amount of side bets just on the debt out there, the $156 trillion, I think is what it is globally. You have $724 trillion worth of side bets in the currency and credit derivatives market. And remember, debt is $157 trillion roughly. So $724 trillion of basically, I think they're going to kick a field goal before halftime bets. And, so there's one of
prop bets.
Prop bets, exactly. So that's something that people need to pay attention to. There's no money for that, remember. That money doesn't exist. Even the debt that we have doesn't exist. It's all printed. I mean, so you got to be careful with that. And the other story that I thought was really interesting, and I wanted your opinion, not covered very much during the week, but Wednesday, Tommy Tuberville put out a bill to ban Sharia law in this country. And he went off on a pretty good tangent regarding the persecution of Christians, 62,000 of which since 2000, I believe, have been murdered by Muslim extremists in Nigeria. And so that brought up the mindset that, genocide by Muslims over Christians, you don't hear about that, right? But you got a guy up here, this senator, this former football coach is going to be doing his thing, and he's always interesting. But you don't hear the media talking about that. You don't hear anything. There's a narrative, right? We had Mr. Stradinger on yesterday talking about narratives and what that narrative is. You're not hearing anything like that.
You're not going to.
And you're not going to.
Because once they kick the top off that fire ant mound, they're not going to like the feeling of the bites. And here's what I'm talking about. That bill is to ban Sharia law. It's not to ban the Muslim religion,
exactly.
So freedom of religion does not come into it. It's right there in the name of it. It's not Sharia religion, it's Sharia law. We already have law. We don't need additional laws from other countries coming in infringing on the rights granted by the laws we already have. They don't want to have that conversation because it's a no-win conversation for the folks desperately trying to push their narrative, so they're going to ignore that.
Yeah, and think of this. This is what you get to push back with. The critics from the Council on American Islamic Relations argue it fosters anti-Muslim sentiment and overlooks Sharia's role as personal arbitration akin to other religious guidelines. Get that junk out of my country We don't need arbitration here. We got rules. We got laws. We don't need your junk in here. And I don't care what your problem is from the Council on American Islamic Relations and thinks it fosters anti-Muslim sentiment. No, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with Muslims.
If I move to a Muslim country, can I take American law with me and live by that?
There's where I'm going with that. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
When you come here, you get to just bring all your problems with you and then infect us with your garbage. Because I say no. I say no.
Let me just put it like this, just as bluntly as possible, which is kind of what I'm known for. It is not the potential banning of Sharia law that leads to anti-Muslim sentiment. It's all the killing and raping.
There you go. The genocide. 62,000 Christians being murdered, and nobody wants to talk about that because, that's not the narrative. Yeah. No, the narrative is let's bring them here and let them put in their radical ideology based upon religion and then enforce it upon you. And you think that's not going to happen. I guarantee you it's going to happen if you let it come here.
You know, I've had experience with plenty of adherents to the Muslim faith. Never had a problem.
Me neither.
Nice people.
Mm-hmm. That's not the ones we're talking about, though.
That's not the group. That's not the problem. It's just like if somebody meets me, I hope they didn't just get through meeting 10 rabid leftist liberals because they're going to have the wrong impression of me before I open my mouth. That is a problem. I fully acknowledge that. But that doesn't mean you let the killing and raping continue just so you don't hurt somebody else's feelings. There's, again, if I can move to a Muslim country and bring American law with me and not get punished by the laws of the country I'm in, well, okay, fine. Fair playing field, right? But it doesn't work that way. Not anywhere else.
Right. This country has been around for a while. We'll be experiencing and celebrating 250th anniversary of this amazing and wonderful country. And you're telling me, these folks that want to come here, that they want to bring their religious laws here to a country that has been around for a bit, has proven to kind of withstand some ups and downs, and generally has bailed out the world how many times over again? So we need you to teach us how to actually treat people. That's what you're saying. We need you to impose upon us your beliefs because we're too stupid and too incapable of bailing the dang world out time and time again. We're not good at that, are we?
It's not how they don't want to dictate how we treat other people, just them.
Yeah.
And
not
it
for
begins and ends at do what I say as I say to do it, and nothing else allowed. That's their attitude. Yeah, it's not going to fly. You're uninvited to the cookout as far as I'm concerned.
And again, that's what Tommy's saying is ban them, send them home. Anybody that believes that Sharia law has a place in this country that supersedes the governments, of state or the federal government, which supersedes all. If that's where we are, throw them out, all of them.
We have freedom of religion. Muslims are welcome. We do not have freedom of law. We have our law. Everybody here has to follow it.
That's the debate right there, isn't it? It's not that it's a religion that we have or anyone has a problem with. It's the radicals within that religion who adhere to insane standards that no one else on the planet would adhere to other than their sect and their religion. And that wants to be pushed and imposed upon you and force-fed down your throat under the guise of anti-Muslim sentiment, racism, bigotry, Nazism, all that crap.
Great video the other day of someone from a Muslim country who did a video, and they were talking to Americans in the video. That's who they were speaking to, and said, look, I want you to understand something, and if you really get to where you understand this, it will show you exactly what's happening. Here in my country, nobody blocks traffic to pray.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody causes disruptions to pray. That's all being done on purpose. That's all being done to force moves and to try to gain control. That's all it's being done for. And I have no personal knowledge of that one way or another, but I thought that was an interesting point, and it did make me ask the question. So do you do this at home?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do this at your house? Do you use, whatever you can, whenever you can, wherever you can for your purpose back at home? Or is it just here? I think that's a valid question to ask.
Yeah. And look, and again, I respect all religions, right? I mean, I don't believe that anyone, whether you're Jewish or Muslim or Christian, that you got the angle on everything. I do believe in Jesus Christ as our Savior. If somebody doesn't want to believe that, that's their business. I'm not going to get mad at them and go to war over it. And that's the part of where we've gotten here is things are too polarized. You got too many things happening at one time. And I'm with you. When you fill the bucket with too much, it starts overflowing. And then you get this, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And I think that's where I'm glad we have a president like Trump. He's capable of multitasking and dealing with so many issues at one time that I don't believe anyone else could have done this. I don't. If you really go down a list and you bullet point it, boom, 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 down the list, where does it stop? Where do the challenges stop, Dave? Where has there been an easy day in the first 9 months for this gentleman? I mean, really, we're not talking about COVID era. We're talking about now, since he was inaugurated. Give me one easy day he's had.
No, there hasn't been one big news day that passed us by yet. Every day is a big news day. But I'll tell you something, it's like the old horror movie trope. Part of the problem is the call is coming from inside the house. I don't know if you heard this. Woody Kane was arrested over the last weekend, a self-avowed and recognized member of Antifa. That's Democratic Senator Tim Kaine's son.
Yeah.
The call is coming from inside the House and the Senate.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
So, it's not even a multi-front war. It's a war on all fronts.
The bats is in the belfry, right?
Oh, man, we're out of belfry. It's all bats right now. Final segment coming up of mornings. Boy, did this morning just fly by.
Fridays
I know Richard
do that,
says it all the time, too, but just, and it's gone. Well, it's going to be gone in just a few minutes. Keep it here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
The monitor switch lets you hear
breaking news.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
No joke. Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings with Richard Cross, normally Dave Hughes this morning, presented by Community Bank. Rooted in our community, communitybank.net is where you can go to find out more. About an hour ago, Cruising the Coast made a Facebook post. It was a post of their official state board. They have a big dry erase board with the map of the United States on it, and they write how many registered cars they have from each state on the state, and they update it every day. Last year we had 9,961. As of the end of the day yesterday, that's when this is valid through, 10,213 that they have had. Now,
and those are registered cars, right?
Those are registered. Yeah. That's not attendees. That's not people that just showed up with their car and didn't register. That's just the ones that actually registered. Biggest number by far, of course, in Mississippi, from Mississippi. You would expect that. Second biggest, Louisiana. Again, you would expect that. Third biggest, Alabama. You go on down. There was a couple of things I wanted to know. Now, this is my offhanded, just going through and looking. It looks like 42 states represented. Mm-hmm. There's nothing written for Maine, for Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Montana, Idaho, they're busy with the potatoes, Wyoming, or Oregon.
But Hawaii, somebody shipped one in, I guess.
Yes, there's one from Hawaii, 4 from Alaska.
Alaska, yeah. That'd be a pretty drive. I mean, I would have probably preferred to ship it, though.
2 from Canada, 1 each from England and Germany. But I would like to point something out. None from Mexico. Well, they couldn't get their car over here.
What about, did Ilhan Omar put one in from Minnesota/Somalia?
It doesn't show. There were 11 cars registered from Minnesota.
Oh, she may have been in, yeah.
Yeah, so it could have been. 28 from Michigan, 34 from Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
2 each from the Dakotas. But wanted to point one thing out. There are 4 from Canada. I thought Canadians weren't coming here.
Yeah. I thought they were upset with us.
That
we wanted to be the 51st state. It'd be a good deal, Trump said.
Be a big deal. Where is it? I
love it. Somebody said the other day was funny the way he put it again when he was talking about Canada. It's kind of in joking and in passing. Well, I mean, they could just be the 51st state. I mean, it'd be a good deal for you.
That would solve everything. The Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana, Governor Nungesser.
Who? Non-guesser?
Yeah, exactly.
So somebody that's a non-guesser.
He put out a call for President Trump to apologize to Canada.
Okay.
Because they've got the Acadiana festival going on. They've got, big French influence in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And he said that the Grand Reviel Acadienne near Lafayette, Louisiana, starts this weekend. And he said nobody from Canada for the first time is showing up. It's really hurting, so he wants Trump to apologize. Well, we already have had as many people at Cruising the Coast from Canada as we had from Arkansas. More than many states in America, the same number of Canadians showed up at 4. We had 4 Canadian cars register. Maybe it's not that they're mad at Trump. Maybe they just don't like you, Governor.
Yeah. Probably.
I hate to say it. They came here.
Mississippi, hey, we're glad to have you.
Nobody's asking anyone to apologize to North Dakota. They sent half as many people as Canada did. Yeah. So I'm just saying everything is relative, and we have lost the ability to recognize that.
It blows my mind sometimes how much we hang on to things that we should get rid of. I mean, history is wonderful. I have a degree in it and studied it my whole life. But, the people left all these countries and came over here and to Canada for a reason. And you hang on to these. It's like people that have some fascination with England. Look, I don't dislike England, but we had to fight them twice to get rid of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, it's like they're not your buddies per se. I mean, if they could come over and take over America right now, they would. I guarantee you. They've tried to do that with banking. So, I mean, I'm very skeptical with a lot of these world powers and all this cultural, rightism that you've got to, believe in here. Just come here and be an American. How about that? Let's get back to, as you said, what we were once was a melting pot, and we used to build stuff that the world wanted.
But you got to melt.
Yeah, you got to get together and do this,
It's right there. It's the first word, melting. Everybody's got to melt and blend into the whole when they come over here. They don't
quit waving your country's flag when you come here and sending your money home. Just be a part of this country.
Talking about Louisiana food, it's hard enough to make a roux. Don't bring your own ingredients
Exactly.
for crying out loud.
Don't mess
this
it
is
up.
a process.
They figured it out already. Exactly.
I would just like to put in one disclaimer. None of the preceding conversation there applies to our good friend Douglas Carswell.
Oh, I love Doug.
He's a Mississippian.
But he moved here. Yeah, I mean, he left
he's
England.
a Mississippian. Keir Starmer, I'd like to give him a right solid whack on the bottom with a brolly.
Have your
I
tea
believe
and
that's how
crumpets,
it would
buddy.
be said. Have a good day.
It's always a pleasure, my friend. Have a great weekend.
Enjoyed it as always. We will do it again next Friday, my friend. I will see you then.
Black letters on my dead inside.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.